This is my grandpa, James DeHorn. He was born on August 5, 1948. He served in the Marines and became a sergeant. This interview is being conducted on May 26th in Hudsonville, Michigan. And the person holding the camera is Kyle DeHorn. This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. Where and when were you born?
Well, you've given the date. It's August 5, 1948 in Muskegon, Michigan. I was born in Muskegon, but we moved away from Muskegon relatively soon.
What did your parents do for jobs, and what was your childhood like?
My dad worked for Plum's Supermarket. He was a butcher and a meat grader. My mom was a stay-at-home mother until maybe I was in junior high, and then we had moved to Coopersville, and she worked with the Coopersville school system. She was a cook.
How many siblings did you have?
One sister, a younger sister.
What were you planning on doing before you entered the service?
Well, I didn't enter the service till after college, so I went to Hope College, and then the year I graduated was the year that the government instituted the lottery system for the draft. Maybe you need that explained a little bit later, but they instituted the lottery system, and I was going to be drafted. So rather than be drafted into the Army, I wanted to serve in the Marine Corps, so then I volunteered for the Marine Corps. But my major at Hope College was education, and I had actually already had a job set up in El Mogordo, New Mexico to serve before I got drafted.
Was there any benefit to not being drafted that made you sign up earlier?
Well, I just thought, I guess it was a little bit of a macho thing. I just wanted to be in the Marine Corps rather than in the Army because I thought the Marines were the best. And they are.
Why did you choose, more than just being macho? Why did you choose the Marines?
Well, I guess all of my history, anything I had learned as I was growing up, the Marines were the more elite of the different services. I'm sorry for all the rest of you guys, but it was always my desire to be in the Marine Corps.
What was it like when you had to leave for training and boot camp?
Yeah, that was again that kind of came suddenly because when I graduated, I then got the notice that I had to come in and get my physical for the Army and so forth. So then I said, I'm gonna sign up for the Marine Corps. So that was in June, and 2 weeks after I signed up in the Marine Corps, I had to go for my physical and then go to boot camp. So it was kind of a quick turnover, and my parents were kind of shocked when I came home and told them I had signed up to be a Marine. But it went so fast that I really didn't think too much about it. It wasn't this big, long, lingering episode before I went in.
What was training like?
Marine Corps boot camp training is special. It was very, very physical, very, very emotional. One of the things that the Marines want to try to do is tear you down and then build you back up the Marine Corps way. And from the minute you step on the yellow footprints, and for me it was San Diego boot camp. They're yelling at you, screaming at you, not letting you sleep, shaving your head, doing everything they possibly can to just really break you down emotionally so that you feel you're totally in the hands of the Marines and you will do whatever they say. So it was emotional and physical.
Did you have any special training for what you did, or?
Well, you mean in the Marine Corps or prior to going in?
Well, what? Yeah, in the Marine Corps.
In the Marine Corps. Well, when I went in, I was in the service. They have what they call MOSs. That means what you're going to do in the service. And because I went in when I did, and because I was a college graduate, I thought maybe I was going to get some special MOS and get to be, I don't know, a designation. But I was designated what they call 0311, which means just a grunt. They call that in Marine Corps, infantry grunt machine gunner. So all of my training was just combat training. There wasn't any training like in computers or anything like that because I was a grunt.
Do you have any stories or anything from training that just you think about a lot, or?
a lot of them, but I can think of one in particular. When we were preparing what they called close combat, one of the things that we had to do was we had to learn how to, I'm going to explain this to you, but we had to learn how to knock a guy out, choke him out, and bring him to the ground. And as we're all just rookie boot camp guys, and we're standing in rows, and we're supposed to practice on each other. And we, of course, didn't use bayonets in practice. We used just a little piece of rubber hose, which was supposed to be like the way you would use a bayonet. So we had to practice on each other. And the young man that was my bunk buddy at the time, we decided that we weren't going to really take each other out. So I was supposed to do him first, and I went like this on his neck and grabbed him and pulled him down, and he went down to the ground, and that was all good. So then it was his turn to do it to me. But while I was standing there waiting for him to kind of fake it on me, I saw coming up behind me the shadow of our drill instructor. Now, drill instructors wore those big hats like they call a Smokey Bear hat. So it was real easy for me to see that shadow coming. And he grabbed the hose and he took me to the ground. He hit me about as hard as he could on the neck and just brought me down the ground and actually took me out. So that when I woke up, he was standing over me and he says, "No one fakes it in my Marine Corps." Well, that was one of the little stories I know. Oh, I've got another boot camp story. When we were the first month of boot camp, the drill instructors would always give you your mail. Mail would come in, and then everybody stand out in rows in front of the Quonset huts, and the drill instructors would give you your mail. And we were required to write home at least every other day because they wanted our parents to know that we were still alive and we were doing okay. So, but we weren't ever supposed to get anything in the mail other than just a letter. Well, after the first month or so, I wrote home to my parents and asked my mom to send me the pre-sweetened Kool-Aid package, because I thought they could slip that in an envelope and the drill instructor wouldn't even know it. I mean, they were just little Kool-Aid packages like that. It was all pre-sweetened, and I was going to put it in my canteen so that I could, spice up my canteen a little bit. Well, when it actually came, the drill instructor knew it. It was a little bit thicker package and everything, so he required, he goes, "Private DeHorn, front and center." So I come running up and he said, "You have mail here. I want you to open this in front of everyone." So I opened it up, and it's a Kool-Aid package, and it's got pre-sweetened strawberry Kool-Aid in it. So he says, "Private DeHorn, go to your hut, your billet, and bring out your Listerine." Well, everybody had to have a bottle of Listerine, and so he says, "Go get it." So I went and got it. Now everybody's still standing and waiting for me. So I have this bottle of Listerine about like this. He said, "Pour the Kool-Aid in the Listerine." So I had to pour the Kool-Aid in the Listerine, and then he said, "And now you'll drink it in front of all of us." So I had to drink it all in front of everybody. It was just absolute gross, and I think I probably threw up and stuff afterward. But that wasn't the greatest experience, and I learned not to have little stories.
Do you ever keep in touch with anybody that you met in training?
One young man that we went into boot camp with lives in kind of the Western Michigan area, but most of the rest of them were from California or quite a few other places. So no, I don't keep in touch with them.
How was it getting new smell? How different was it compared to living in Coopersville, Michigan?
Yeah. Extremely different. But I knew boot camp was only going to be, with us, boot camp was 16 weeks long. So I knew it was only going to be 16 weeks, and I knew that, I truly believed I can gut this out no matter what it is for 16 weeks. And honestly, going in on the airplane going in, I just prayed, "Lord, just help me be able to handle this for 16 weeks, and I think I can make it after that." Because after boot camp, then it kind of becomes quite a bit more easy to handle.
Do you wish that you would have served? Do you ever wish that you would have been commissioned into going to war?
When I was in, you gotta remember, this Vietnam War. the Vietnam War was not a very popular war. It's like, now we really honor our veterans. We really are grateful for them. But a lot of the public at the time when I went in was against the Vietnam War and was very anti-military. But yes, I could tell you a little story on that one too, Maddie. When I got done with boot camp, I got what they called Westpac orders, which meant I was going to Vietnam. Then they give you 2 weeks off, and then you come back and you do some additional training and then go. So I had Westpac orders. I was sure I was going to go to Vietnam. I wasn't very excited about that. I mean, Vietnam was a mess. I went home. I told my parents and everything. There was a lot of crying and all that. But then when I got back, I got pulled into the staff sergeant's office, and he said, "Your orders have been changed. You're going to be in a training unit in Camp Pendleton." And I had no idea how in the world that happened. I was gone. I was going to go to Vietnam, but my orders were changed when I got back. The only thing I found out a little bit later is one of the officers told me that because I was a college grad and I'd been a football player and my education was in teaching and all that kind of stuff, they thought that I would probably be better used in training than send me off. But I know that it was God looking over me that I didn't end up going to Vietnam. But now when I see these guys in the military, these guys going to boot camp and stuff like that, you're trained to do a job, and then you never actually end up doing it. So it's easy to say, because I'm not there now, but it's easy to say, yeah, I really would have liked to have had a term, in Vietnam, or now in Afghanistan or something like that. So I could say I used my training.
What did you do at like the training camp? Did you train other soldiers?
Yeah, that was our job. Then we were a training unit, and our job was every day we trained them in maybe weapons, or we trained them in tactics or strategy and so forth. And in many cases, we were the opposition unit. They would do like what we call war games, and they would go out and do certain maneuvers and so forth, and we were the opposition, or we would, in some cases, we were the advisors, and then afterward we'd critique them and so forth. So yeah, we were trainers.
Were you like a drill sergeant too, or no?
I was never I didn't become a sergeant until right before I got out. I got a meritorious award just before I got out, and drill. They called them drill instructors in the Marine Corps. Drill instructors were a whole different kind of preparation, because their job was just to do boot camp, and boot camp kind of training is a whole different than the training for actual combat. So no, I wasn't a drill instructor.
Would you have liked to do that?
I thought that, and when I was just before I got out of boot camp, one of the officers called me in and wondered if I wanted to re-up to go to officer training school, because again I was a college grad and all that kind of stuff. And there weren't that many college grads when I went in, and so he wanted to know if I wanted to re-up and go to officer training school. And at the time I was so infatuated with my drill instructor, what a great job that he had done kind of creating our Marines, that I thought maybe I'd like to be a drill instructor. But he said to me, "You're not the right personality to be a drill instructor. You could be an officer, but you're not, in your face kind of guy that a drill instructor."
Do you have any awards or memorabilia that you received like during your time?
Well, I can talk about this. This is a NCO sword. In the Marine Corps, NCO is non-commissioned officer. When I was when I earned sergeant, sergeants in the Marine Corps, when they wear their blues, have the right to wear this NCO sword. And I earned it, but you have to pay for it. You have to buy it. So they tell you you can wear it, but you have to buy one. You have to pay for it yourself if you actually ever are going to use it with your uniform. And I couldn't afford it at the time. But about 10 years ago, a guy I was working for was a Marine also, a fellow Marine. And when he found out that I had earned the NCO sword but didn't ever get one, he gave this to me. So this is the NCO sword that non-commissioned officers in the Marine Corps are able to wear. I just display it in the basement downstairs because it's cool. And then, well, one other thing. When I was in boot camp, there is an award called the National Spirit of Honor Award that is given to exemplary leadership in boot camp, and it's pretty significant. The article that I got from the colonel that gave the award said that particular year I was one out of 21,000 that got this award. So there's a medal, and then a significant certificate that goes along with it. Let me pull that out once a minute. And then, of course, you get a medal that goes on your uniform also, that goes along with it. But that's about it.
How did Grandma feel about you, like, at the time? Because I know you guys have known each other for a long time. How'd she feel about you going Marines?
Well, when I went into the Marine Corps, I didn't know her yet. It wasn't until I got back out of regular duty. Then we got married, and then I went 4 years after my regular duty as a reservist. So 2 months out of every summer, I had to go, to camp, and so she had to be alone during that time. And she was loving and caring and nurturing prior to and after I got home.
How did boot camp shape who you are?
You see the way I'm sitting? No, seriously. In boot camp, they do just a fantastic job creating a mindset that says Marines are honorable, are tough, are going to do the right thing all the time, are always looking out for another person. It creates a real pride, and I've become more proud of being a Marine as my years have passed. I mean, I was more than happy to get out when my time was done. As a matter of fact, I didn't keep my blues. I had earned blues, and I could have kept them, and I would have loved to have had them now. But I sold them for $100, and I would have just loved to have kept them. But at that time, I was just like, I want to get out, I want to get out, I want to get on with everything else. But now, each year, I get more and more proud that I was a Marine, am a Marine.
Do you have any other life lessons that you learned that you would like other people to reflect?
Well, what I would like to say is I'd like to see. I don't have all the details, and I don't know how to make this be real. But I think everyone should serve for even a short period of time in one way or another. I think the government. I think there's a great patriotism that comes from having served, whether it was in the military or even like in the Peace Corps or something like that. I think every citizen should serve the government for at least, say, a year. Have a year of responsibility to in one form or another to the government. I think it creates a patriotism.